Namaste and pranams. Today, I want to invite your attention to the practice of yoga. This is the age of yoga. You will agree with me that every nook and corner of this country, in fact, everywhere in the world, in all important cities, there are yoga classes, there are yoga ashrams, yoga retreats, and thousands of people are into the practice of yoga. Nobody needs an introduction about yoga. It is a positive part, good part. But unfortunately, as a yoga teacher of long experience, I have been teaching yoga for the last 40 years. I have some bad news for you also. The bad news is that people who take up yoga enthusiastically, after a few months, a matter of months, slowly fade out of the practice of yoga and they completely get dropped out of yoga practices. Such people are called yoga brashtas. They are out of yoga practices. They know yoga, they have been taught yoga, but somehow they are not into the practice. Those who are into yoga practice on a regular and serious basis, they are known as yoga arudas. Others are called yoga brashtas. They have been fading out. They got dropped out of yoga practices. I am asking you why this happens. Most of you must have noticed it, either in your own behavior or some of your friends. Enthusiastically you start learning of yoga, and after a matter of few weeks or few months, slowly you drop the practice. Why this happens? Now, first of all, understand that yoga is not just a physical practice. It is not a set of physical exercises. It is not gymnastics. It is not weightlifting, or it is not something athletics, something like that. So many branches of physical culture is there. But yoga is not just another set of physical exercises. Briefly, I can tell you that yoga is physical, mental, and spiritual. Yoga has its own theoretical foundation, its own procedures, principles, practices, and an entire philosophy. Yoga philosophy, yoga psychology remains valid even to this date. It is in-depth psychology. Human beings can be immensely benefited by the yoga philosophy and yoga psychology. But unfortunately, as I told just now, people don't go beyond the base level. They come enthusiastically with a limited interest in yoga, with a limited intention, and very fast a good majority of people get dropped out of. They say, we have learned yoga, we know such and such yoga gurus or yoga ashrams, and that's it. You can check yourself what happens to your friends who has been so enthusiastic. I told you one reason is people have a misconception that yoga is just another set of physical practices. It is not. Now, father of yoga, sage Patanjali, has written an official theoretical book. Still it is known and regarded as the best guide for yoga practitioners. Sutras, Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It's a small book. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali with just 4 chapters. It is written in Sanskrit, but lot of translation in all languages are plenty available now. Kindly get a copy of it and be thorough. Within 4 or 5 days, you can completely read in any language you like. It's available in many important languages in the world today. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, in the second chapter, that is the Sadhana Pada, Patanjali defines what is yoga. His system of yoga is known as Ashtanga Yoga, the yoga with 8 limbs. He has identified clearly 8 limbs of yoga. And yoga asanas, the postures, the physical postures that are popular today, is actually the third limb of his system. So that means there are 2 previous limbs. You have to practice and pass through the 2 important limbs before you come to the practice of yoga postures or yoga asanas. What are these 2 limbs? Initial preliminary limbs. These are yamas and niyamas. He calls it yama and then niyama. His 8 limbs: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. These are the 8 limbs of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, and the popular part, the asana part, yoga asana part, is the third step only. So again I am telling you, the first and second has to be practiced, has to be learned properly and practiced. Then only you are qualified to practice, learn and make advancement in the third stage, that is the yoga asanas. What are these yamas? What are these niyamas? Yamas are to be followed as a personal code of conduct by the practitioners. He has given 5 yamas, 5 disciplines, which every yoga practitioner has to practice throughout his lifetime. And he tells us about 5 niyamas, social code of conduct, some interpersonal discipline a yoga practitioner should follow throughout his life. What are these yamas? What are these niyamas? I will be explaining based on Patanjali Sutras in my short videos. Thank you so much. Hari Om.